desires, your actions have led you to become. Sometimes you see people and they look like a pig because that is their animal instinct, or a dog, or they look like something very lowly or something very ugly. Not how beautiful they look on the outside, seeing what's in the inside. And you find people that when they would go to ask them a question, they would be like this. Like, just don't look at me. I'm hideous. But please answer my question. And there are those, people that, reach those kind of levels. But for the majority of us, again, we have to give husn dhan. We don't know all of these details behind something of a person's life. Don't jump to the conclusion. Somebody sees a post on Facebook. Oh, this person is trying to make this indirect comment to me. Somebody, somebody comes in, they didn't say salam. Oh, they were intentionally trying to be rude to me. Somebody didn't accept an invitation. Oh, they were jumping to conclusions about things which trivial at best. And then the amount of energy that it takes to do that. As if there's nothing else that we have to do. We don't have like a ton. Everybody doesn't have a to-do list of a ton of things that they still haven't gotten done. No, we all have so much to do. And if we can scratch this off the list of worrying about what other people might be possibly thinking in their heart, then we could save a lot of time and energy. Conserve that energy to be able to do more positive things. So when it comes to our husn dhan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I've heard this statement that sometimes people, they have the concept that you as a mu'min or me as a mu'min or as a believer, that a person, we're intended to suffer until, in this world, and inshallah in that world we'll have husn dhan. That the purpose of creation is suffering, and then when you go to that world, the next world, and that's when there's, rivers flowing beneath you and heaven and the beautiful things that are in paradise. But the reality, brothers and sisters, is that for a mu'min or for a believer, they could have the life of Prophet Sulaiman, who had the most vast of kingdoms of all prophets, which none had before or after him. Or you could have a very difficult life of Amir al-Mu'mineen with a bone in your throat for 25 years. The difficulty of what he had to face to walk through cities, to be the commander of the faithful, to be the number one right-hand man of the Prophet, and to be cursed from the pulpit. The test for people is different. This is the point. خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةِ. Allah created death and life. It's a reality. Why though? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ. So that He can test you. So that I can test you. Why do I need to test you? Same reason that you go to school and you take a test. أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Which one of you is going to be better in their actions? Obviously, everybody can't go to the university. Everybody goes to med school and everybody's a doctor. You have to definitely, hopefully, that it's only people who are qualified. I don't know about you. I don't want some surgeon working on me that, just, okay, inshallah, we're just going to give you this piece of paper. Hopefully, it's people who are qualified. So you have to go through that test in school. You have to go through that test in life. Allah says, I'm going to test you with different things. But here's the kicker. A lot of times we assume of God that the test is difficulty. I'm going to test you with tightening things financially for you. We don't realize that sometimes the test is ease. I'm going to test you with giving you money. Now what are you going to do? I'm going to test you with making things easy for you. Now what? Are you grateful? Did you help your Muslim brother or sister when they were in need? Now you have more. Maybe I gave to you only for that purpose. Think about this. Allah's test is not always the thing that we think it is. Some people say, why does Allah give so much to this person and not that much to... That's their test. Allah gave them an abundance and they have to answer for every penny. That's a more difficult test. But whatever the test is, we have to have a good opinion of Allah. It says that there was a man who he remembered a dua. He came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He just became Muslim. He said, oh my God, you all have so many du'as, so many supplications. I want you to teach me just one that encompasses everything. It reminds me of a time I went to Canada, and the wonderful, hospitable people of Homeland Security gave me a hard time. And they were going through all my stuff, so they're opening my stuff. What's this? I'm like, it's a Quran. Okay. What's this? It's a smaller Quran. What's this? It's a book of supplications. What's a supplication? I can't help you there. I mean, there's an app for that.
There's an app for that.
You're just very aggressive and angry about everything. I don't know what these people have for breakfast every morning. But anyway, he asked the Prophet of Allah for a supplication that would encompass everything, and he said to him, Allahumma anta rabbi wa ana abduk. He says, repeat this. O Allah, anta rabbi, you are my Lord, wa ana abduk, and I am your servant. He says, repeat this dua if you want a dua that really kind of covers and encompasses everything. He was really happy. He went and he memorized this, and because his first language was not Arabic, it doesn't say where he was from. His first language was not Arabic, and he memorizes it backwards. So he was always saying, Allahumma, O my Lord. For example, I am your Lord, you are my servant. Saying it backwards. And he comes and he's informed, the Prophet is informed by one of the angels that this person is reciting the dua wrong. And he tells him that he should, he corrects him. And the man gets really upset. He said, all this time I thought that I was getting, I was doing the right thing, saying the right dua, getting closer to Allah. He's really sad and disappointed. But all this time he had the expectation that he was actually moving closer to Allah. And it says because of this expectation that he had, because of this husn zan to his Lord, even though he was reciting it backwards, he said Allah gives him the blessings of the person who had recited it properly. Just because he thought that Allah would give him the blessings. It says one of the ways that the du'as, that are answered of a person, one of the times that prayers are not answered is because you don't expect them to be answered. It's really that simple. You make the dua, you say, oh Allah, I need such and such a thing to happen. It's probably not going to happen, but I'm just going to ask anyway, just in case. It says Allah answers that servant the same amount of hope he has to him, he answers him in that same way. You don't have any hope towards me. You don't really believe well of me, of what I would do for you. So you stay in that state that you're in. You stay in that position. There's a mention from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Says that on the Day of Judgment, when everybody is taken to paradise, everybody's taken to hell. There's going to be one man left. One man. It's going to be the last of the Mohicans. He's going to say to this man, he's going to say to the angels, after looking at the accounts of this man, take him to the hellfire. And they started, the angels, get him, then they get ready to take him away. And he looks dejected. He looks upset. The man just looks distraught. He's so upset. And Allah calls out to the angels, wait, bring him back. Why do you look like this? Why are you upset? And the man says, you know what, Allah, I never thought that even though I did all of those things that I did, all of the wrongs, all of the sins that I committed, I never thought that you would still send me to hellfire. I thought that you would forgive me. And Allah says to the angels, I want you to bear witness that this servant of mine, not once in his lifetime did he have husn dhan to me. Not once did he really believe that I was going to forgive him. Not once. He said, but because he claims that he had husn dhan to me, on this day, I pardon him.
Subhanallah.
Allahu Akbar. This is because of his claim to husn dhan. Not because he even had it. Because he pretended to have it. So it's a very powerful thing, brothers and sisters. The outlook that we have towards Allah and that we have towards our brothers and sisters. You read Dua Kumail. All of you, mashallah, are participants. There's Dua Kumail every week. Hopefully you take advantage of that, especially during this month of Rajab. Rajab and Sha'ban, as I was telling some of the brothers yesterday, that Rajab and Sha'ban, this is the preseason. Ramadan is the playoffs. You got to get in game shape. You got to get ready. You got to work up to Ramadan. You can't just jump into Ramadan. You have to get prepared. This is that time. This is that time to prepare ourselves spiritually. This is that time to make ourselves ready. But in this Dua Kumail that you always recite, it says, مَا هَكَذَا ذَنُّ بِكَ وَلَا أُخْبِرْنَا بِفَضْلِكَ أَنْكَ يَا كَرِيمُ يَا رَبِّ. This dhan, مَا هَكَذَا ذَنُّ بِكَ. We could never assume that you would do this to us, O Allah. We never, because of your fadl, because of your greatness. It's saying that, it's speaking from a sinner who's committed sins, who's saying that even with all of this, we never assumed that you would turn your back on us, O Allah. We still have hope in your favor, hope in your mercy. I want to come to a close. As you said, salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Two thoughts, inshallah. One is a tradition from, again, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He says, today we stand at the crossroads of truth and falsehood, truth and untruth. The one who is sure of getting water is never thirsty. There's a person who he's thirsty, but he knows that he's a step away from the water bottle. He's not as thirsty as the person who's thirsty and has no hope in having his thirst quenched. So we have to always have that hope to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, He will forgive us. He will help us. He will uplift us. He will help us to reach the goals that we're trying to reach, inshallah. And we today are standing very clearly at these crossroads. There's a lot of things happening in society and the world. A Muslim is the advocator of justice. He is the side of all that's haqq and all that's right. He never turns a blind eye to society, to the issues, to the matters. He's always on the forefront of reforming the wrongs in society. He doesn't have time to be too busy to do that. We're too busy to make time to care about what happened in Yemen, what happened in Bahrain, what happens in Palestine, what happens across the street. When we get too busy, then be sure that you've fallen into the dangerous trap of shaitan. We're at that crossroads. We're at the crossroad of truth and falsehood. Which side is a person going to be on? Last thing that I want to mention is a very beautiful lesson. Is that there's a letter that one of the ulama sent to the youth in Europe and America, Ayatollah Khamenei, and it had a really beautiful point in that, and it mentioned about speaking directly to the people who live in this society and their perspective of Islam. And one of the points that was really beautiful was about asking them, have you ever spoke to a Muslim? Did you ever read the Quran? Did you ever sit with a Muslim? It reminded me of the words of, I believe, Marcus Garvey, and he read about Malcolm X. Did you ever sit with Malcolm? Did you ever have him smile at you? Did you ever get to know who Malcolm X was? Before you jump to any conclusion, did you get to know them? Did you get to feel the warmth?